Welcome everybody, it's me, Dr Khaled Sadek, and thanks for joining me on another episode of my Sunday night live chat. I specialise in the cysts and removals. I'm based in London, and lipimicist.com is where you can find me. So today we're going to be discussing COVID vaccinations, taking questions from the audience. I'll also be showing you around the COVID experience that I had as well, and this is part of a three-part video, all of which were live and filmed here in the Dr. Khaled Sadek studio. So we'll be covering topics from the audience. If you've got your question, put it in the chat box, which should be appearing somewhere soon. And I will also be covering a lot of the main questions, including the difference between the virus strains, the difference between the vaccine types, the side effects, who should and who shouldn't get it, and does it have any detrimental effects on you, and all these kind of wonderful questions that we're getting. A lot of people asking us, what is a messenger RNA vaccine? Well, you're going to find out. Can I have the vaccine if I've been infected? You're going to find out. All these beautiful questions we're going to be talking about today. But first of all, I want to have a quick look at my second dose. Now, remember, when I went for my first dose, I described the experiences that I had, and they were very typical for what the manufacturer. I went for the Pfizer messenger RNA vaccine, and that was pain at the injection site, and that lasted for about 2-3 days, and it was very, very painful. You do struggle to sleep in the first couple of days, and then afterwards it wears off, and it's absolutely fine. But other side effects people were complaining about were maybe a mild temperature, maybe some muscle ache, maybe some headaches, maybe some tiredness and fatigue. I didn't get any of those on the first dose, but the second dose, gosh, I was out very, very tired for about 48 hours, and obviously the arm hurt as well. But as you can see, I'm back fighting fit. I haven't turned into a bat. I don't hang from the ceilings, and it's all hunky-dory. So if you have got the opportunity to get the vaccine, please do get it. Stay safe wherever you are. I went for the Pfizer vaccine. That's a messenger RNA vaccine. And what that means is that they give you a sequence of information that your body will read. I remember I described it as being the recipe for a cake, and what you do, you just take that recipe to the kitchen and you start making your immune system soldiers straight off the bat. That's what the messenger RNA vaccine, that's the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine. They inject you with a recipe for your immune system to start working, and your body starts to make the immune system process straight away. Now that differs from a traditional vaccine or the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, because in those ones they give you a dead virus or part of the dead virus, and then your body has to recognize it as being a foreign entity, go back to the drawing board, write the recipe, give it to the kitchen and make the order. Okay, so the Pfizer one, kind of a bit of a cheat. It gives you the recipe, you go away and do it, while traditional ones you have to kind of work out your own recipe and off you go. Okay, both very, very effective. Clinical trials have demonstrated that the Pfizer Moderna vaccine getting 95% efficacy compared to about 75% with the Oxford vaccine. There's also been a lot of talk about when you should get them. Now, the manufacturer have recommended that the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine are 21-day vaccine, so you get it on day 1 and then again on day 21, while the Oxford Zeneca has initially been touted as a day 1 to day 28 for the second dose. They're all two dose vaccines, which is a little bit different from other vaccines, like for instance hepatitis B vaccines, which are 3-part, or rabies vaccines, which are 3-part. This is also an intramuscular injection, so it goes into the muscle. It doesn't go into the muscle, it doesn't go subcuticular like you might get with a chickenpox vaccine. So those are the fundamental differences between the two. There's also some logistical and storage differences. The Pfizer and the Moderna, it's a messenger RNA, so it's a very delicate sequence, and that needs to be stored at -80 in -80 fridges, and can only be left at room temperature for about 5 hours. And therefore you have to have all of that kind of set up infrastructure in place ready to deliver that vaccine. When you compare it to AstraZeneca, Oxford vaccine, that can be stored at a normal fridge, medical fridge, 4 degrees. Okay, so you can have that ubiquitously placed in all medical centers. So when it comes to the Pfizer Moderna, not every center can obviously dish it out, so you have to go to a hub. So in the next video, I'm going to show you my experience of that hub. So hopefully this is going to work. So let's go and take a look at that. So this is actually empty retail parks in London. I thought I'm doing a click and collect, and I thought I'd just show you how empty these massive sprawling retail parks are. Obviously, the weather is still the same, miserable. But this is usually a bustling retail park, completely empty. Okay, so I don't know if the audio worked on that or not, but I'll send you the link in the bio below. But that was the Earl's Court Medical Centre delivering 1,000 vaccines a day, so almost actually 1,500 vaccines a day. So keep the questions coming. We'll sort out the audio on that a little bit later. Not sure how we're going to sort that out, but we will. What I do want to do is answer a lot of the questions that are coming through. Got really, really, really good questions here. I've already had COVID. I recently also had bronchitis, which turned into pneumonia, not COVID related. How susceptible will I now be to catching the lung illness? So that's from Jennifer Buckley. We'll be taking questions like that, as well as what about wearing masks, still wearing masks after the vaccine? That's from Bridget. So get your questions in. We're going to have a slight intermission. I'm going to write down your questions. We're going to answer them in their usual format, and then we'll be back after the intermission to take a look. Get your questions in. Put them in bold so I can see them. Welcome, I'm Dr Khaled Sadek, and you're watching my fantastic world of cysts and lipoma removal. I'm Dr Khaled Sadek. Welcome to Medical Mysteries. Every Friday at 9:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Wow. Okay, wow. What a lot of interest in COVID-19 vaccine. So many questions. Listen, if I haven't picked them all up in the 60-second intermission, I do apologize. Keep them coming. Put them in bold, in capital, so I can actually catch them out in between everything else. So let's crack on. Rhonda, a lot of people asking questions about immunocompromised patients and getting the vaccine. So look, one of the big drives of getting this vaccine is to give it to the most vulnerable individuals, and those are people whose immune system may be compromised, and that may be from a whole host of issues. Now, that could be because they're taking drugs that make them immunocompromised, like steroids or immunocompromising medication, or it be chemotherapy or radiotherapy. They might be on biologics for rheumatoid arthritis or other autoimmune conditions, or they may have a condition that makes them their immunity a little bit low. For instance, they may have HIV, they may have leukemias, and so forth and so forth. So in fact, the vaccine is targeted at the most vulnerable individuals, so those people who are most likely to fall ill. So getting that messenger RNA is not like giving you the disease, it's not like giving you an infection, it's giving you the recipe for your body to go away and make the soldiers of your immune system. So absolutely, that's where it's aimed for. It's aimed for the immunocompromised individuals. There was a question from Belinda about whether or not it should be for chemotherapy specifically. Those particular questions, really, they should be taking it up with their cancer specialists. Remember that patients will have to get to the center, so if they aren't able to do that, then at the moment there is no facility for to do that. So Kim, taking iron, she asks, can it reduce your immune system? Well, iron is a building block of your bone marrow. Blood cells are made out of iron. So if you want to have big, healthy blood system, you need to have iron to supplement it. So it's an integral part of your vascular system. So it shouldn't reduce your immune system. Okay. Quick question. Penny says there's not enough tests being done on the vaccine. How do we know it's safe? A very good question. Well, look, and a lot of people saying Penny's not alone in that. Carrie is saying it's been rushed. It's been too quick. We don't have data. Well, actually, look, the data is there. We've got clinical trials. Okay, we got the data very quickly because in most clinical trials it takes years and years because, number one, the resources aren't there, the money, the funding, the people, the equipment. They're not targeted at one specific condition. But when you get all the guns focused on one particular condition, you can churn out a lot more. Also, there's always an issue in clinical trials with recruiting patients. If you want to get 50,000 people to take your vaccine under normal conditions, you may take many, many months to do that. But in a global pandemic, it's very easy to get 50,000 willing participants to have it. So the numbers needed to treat to get the statistical powers are very easily attained because of the unique situation that we're in. So the speed at which we'll be able to develop this is not because it's been rushed, it's because of a unique set of circumstances and opportunities that have led to us be able to get a drug from the bench to the clinic in super time. Okay, and it's gone through the clinical trials, it's gone through the mass testing, so the data is safe. And besides, we need it. We have no way out of this other than getting the vaccine. And a lot of questions about strains of vaccines. And Bridget brings up a question, if you have the vaccine, do I need to wear the mask? Yes, you do. Everyone needs to wear the mask because although we know it will give you immunity against the strains that we're aware of, we are unsure that if you go to contract the virus, although you may not suffer any symptoms, we don't know if the vaccine prevents you from being a carrier. That is to say, you're asymptomatic, you have no symptoms, but it's kind of just on you, and then you go and give it to someone else unwittingly. So we have no information as to whether or not vaccinated individuals are protected from being a carrier. So you should continue to wear masks, social distancing, and so forth, and follow the local lockdown rules wherever you are in the world. Melissa is asking about allergic reactions. Can you have them? What's the deal about allergic reactions? So there are very few contraindications on the Pfizer vaccination list, but one of them is blood thinning medication. Blood thinning medication and severe anaphylactic allergies. If those are two preconditions which kind of flag you up as being high risk and may not be suitable for the vaccination. Okay, Sheila, I got the flu shot. Do I need to get the corona vaccine? Yes, Sheila. It's two separate diseases, so it's like apples and pears. It's like hepatitis and rubella. They're two separate diseases, although they're both airborne. Like tuberculosis, the common cold, and influenza are two separate viruses, and coronavirus is a separate virus as well. So you'll need a separate vaccination for the COVID, and you will still need your seasonal influenza vaccine for seasonal influenza. So coronavirus is separate to an influenza virus, which in itself is separate to seasonal flu. It's separate to tuberculosis and other airborne diseases. So each disease will need its individual shots. And in fact, if you look at the child immunization schedule, they get about 8 or 12 different vaccines in the first 8 weeks of life. So we treat them for a whole host of diseases: diphtheria, polio, tetanus, whooping cough, hepatitis, meningitis, rubella, pertussis, everything. So we get a lot of immunizations from birth, and once you get above 18, you seem to not have any more vaccinations until you're about sort of 55, when you start getting flu vaccines and shingles vaccines, and you may get other vaccines with time. And so this one is a new vaccine that is available to the whole population. We rarely introduce vaccines on this kind of a scale. Influenza is one, but influenza again is not for everybody. It's just for select groups of people. This is probably a bit like the polio vaccine. It's eradicating a condition across an entire global population. So this is why it's so important. But of course, you're absolutely right to raise questions. Okay. Next question. Let's have a good look. Ruth asks, if you can't get the vaccine, are there other ways to improve your immune system? That's a very good question, Ruth. So we know that, number one, if you've had the infection, you get about 5 months immunity. So if you get the infection, the upshot is you're pretty good for 5 months. We can't guarantee longer than that. So 5 months is one. The other one we're noticing is that vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, seems to play a critical role in immune system. We already know that vitamin D plays a critical role in bone density. You need it to make strong bones. If you don't have vitamin D, you get rickets, your teeth fall out, and so forth. So vitamin D plays a critical role in bones, muscle function, and immunity. And we know that in the darker months of winter, and I've known that I speak a lot about sleep and circadian system and light and how that plays on the body. Well, in winter, where we are at the moment, the daylight hours shrink. The sun is so much further away from us in terms of distance, and so the vitamin D that we can absorb from the sun literally plummets, and that's when the virus is picking up. So you need to supplement your diary or your diet with the vitamin D. And again, consult your local physicians about that. Next, let's have a look. Have we covered the ones that are here? Tam. Something about vaccines. I can't read my writing again. Apologise. And Caroline Tom is asking about mental health. What's available for mental health sufferers and coronavirus in the pandemic? So yeah, very good topic, Caroline. We covered mental health in lockdown in a video which we did about six months ago. We covered how to sort of stay mentally focused, but with services being pushed to the extreme, with hospital beds, clinicians being deployed to other purposes, some of the more peripheral community-based functions like physiotherapy, mental health, and so forth do suffer a lot. And so ultimately we're going to have to rely more on web-based mental health support. So wherever you are, just check to see what is available local to you. We might do a separate video on mental health. Let's take another intermission and have some more questions. I'll catch you. I'm going to write these down. Welcome, I'm Dr Khaled Sadek, and you're watching my fantastic world of cysts and lipoma removal. I'm Dr Khaled Sadek. Welcome to Medical Mysteries. Every Friday at 9:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Right, welcome for the final and the final part of tonight's live chat. Thanks all for joining me today. Some wonderful questions we've covered. And if you're still watching, it means you're not bored. Thank you so much. So, final few questions. Tam has got their question in for me. Blood pressure and vaccines. So if you've got high blood pressure, definitely it doesn't mean you can't have the vaccine. You should get the vaccine. I hope that answered the questions there, Tam. Cherry, what's in the vaccine? Well, we've already mentioned that one of them is a messenger RNA and one of them is the toxoid. Sippy is a bit angry. He's like, he or she is saying, if you're vaccinated, you still have to undergo the restrictions. Yeah, you still got to follow your government guidelines because we've only immunized a very small proportion of the population in England. I think we've done 3.5 million out of 70 million people. So, 5% of the population have been vaccinated. That's not enough. We won't complete the whole country until August 2021, so there's still a long time for us to be socially distant and restricted. Angie is concerned because she is a diabetic, so she's increased risk of infections, and she's an essential worker. She wants to know when she will get the vaccine. Yeah, it's a very good question. Definitely things are going to step up here in the United Kingdom with the introduction of the AstraZeneca virus, as well as the opening of several super hubs, including places like Wembley Stadium, Epsom racecourses, where people can enter and have the vaccine inoculations on a massive scale. And that is hopefully going to be ramped up very, very shortly. We're looking at about I think they're aiming for 1 million vaccinations a week. Or a week. So that will come soon. At the moment, it's targeted the most vulnerable, and we're still at above the age of 75. Okay, so that is the criteria in the United Kingdom. Listen, guys, I've been your host for today. Thank you so much for watching me. Don't forget to support and hit the like button. Share these videos with your friends who may be interested. Put them on your Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. And most importantly, stay safe. And I'll catch you all, I think, on Wednesday or Monday. Wednesday. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.